Welcome to Ping 24 Updates. Subscribe my channel and press the bell icon for more updates. The air in Jakarta was thick with anticipation. Even before sunrise, the city seemed to pulse with a nervous energy, as if everyone sensed that something monumental was about to unfold. The usual morning bustle was tinged with an undercurrent of anxiety, and the faces of commuters reflected a collective unease. On every corner, people gathered in small groups, their conversations hushed but urgent. Public screens flickered with live news updates, drawing crowds who watched with furrowed brows. The city's heartbeat was quickened by rumors and speculation, each new whisper adding to the tension. Outside government buildings, crowds swelled. Security was tight, and the air was electric with expectation. It was as if the entire city was holding its breath, waiting for a decision that would ripple far beyond Indonesia's borders. It was November 12, 2025. Outside the Ministry of Defense, a sea of journalists and camera crews jostled for position, their equipment glinting in the morning light. For weeks, the press had speculated about Indonesia's next move in its ambitious Air Force modernization program. The stakes were high, and the world was watching. For months, the debate had raged. Would Indonesia choose the tried and tested American F-16s, or opt for the cutting-edge French Rafales? The military's preference for Western technology was well known, and most experts believed the decision would reinforce old alliances. Few imagined that Jakarta would chart a new course. Then, with little warning, the announcement came. A simple press release, delivered in measured tones, sent shockwaves through the crowd. Indonesia had signed a $9 billion deal, not with Washington, not with Paris, but with Beijing. The room erupted into chaos as journalists scrambled for details, their questions drowned out by the roar of breaking news alerts. The deal was unprecedented. 72 of China's advanced J-10C Vigorous Dragon fighter jets, a fleet that would transform Indonesia's air power overnight. The media was stunned. This wasn't just a procurement, it was a geopolitical earthquake. Within minutes, the story dominated headlines from Jakarta to New York, from Paris to Beijing. Analysts and officials scrambled to make sense of the sudden shift. In Washington and Brussels, the news landed like a thunderclap. Analysts pored over Jakarta's statement, which cited not only value for money and technology transfer, but also a new era of strategic alignment. The implications were profound. Indonesia, long seen as a swing state in Southeast Asia, had just redrawn the region's balance of power. The shockwaves were felt in every capital. For the Indonesian Air Force, the deal marked a turning point. Years of operating a patchwork fleet from multiple countries had strained logistics and readiness. Now, the promise of a unified, modern fleet beckoned a chance to leap ahead technologically. But with this opportunity came new dependencies and questions about how closely Indonesia would now be tied to China's defense industry. On Jakarta's streets, the deal was all anyone could talk about. In cafes and markets, on buses and in offices, people debated what the future would hold. Was this a bold step toward self-reliance and modernization, or a risky embrace of a powerful neighbor whose ambitions were not always clear? Some saw hope, others voiced concern, but all agreed. Indonesia's place in the world had changed overnight. As the sun set over Jakarta, the city's skyline was illuminated by the glow of news tickers and television screens. The world was watching, and the game had changed. The shock of the announcement was only the beginning. In the days and weeks to come, Indonesia, and the world, would grapple with the consequences of a decision that had already begun to reshape the future of Southeast Asia. The decision to buy Chinese jets sent shockwaves through the international community, leaving analysts and journalists scrambling to make sense of the unexpected move. Newsrooms around the world buzzed with speculation, as experts debated the implications for regional security and global alliances. For decades, Indonesia's Air Force had been a symbol of its non-aligned foreign policy, proudly operating a diverse fleet of American, Russian, and British aircraft. This careful balancing act allowed Indonesia to maintain strategic flexibility and avoid being drawn too closely into the orbit of any single superpower. But the choice to acquire China's advanced J-10C fighter jets marked a dramatic and unexpected break from this long-standing tradition. It wasn't just a procurement decision, it was a bold statement about Indonesia's willingness to chart a new course in its defense strategy. The competition for Indonesia's next-generation fighter was intense. The United States lobbied hard, offering the proven F-16 Viper, while France made a strong case for its cutting-edge Rafale. Defense expos and high-level meetings showcased the best of Western technology, and most observers assumed a Western manufacturer would win the contract. Yet, against all expectations, Indonesia's decision to go with China signaled a major strategic pivot. It was a clear message that Jakarta was ready to diversify its partnerships and assert greater independence on the world stage. This move showcased Jakarta's growing confidence and highlighted China's emergence as a credible defense supplier. The timing couldn't have been more significant. Coming at a moment of heightened US-China tensions, Indonesia's choice was seen as a blow to American prestige and influence in the region. The deal sent a powerful message to the world. Viable alternatives to Western military technology now exist, and countries like Indonesia are willing to explore them. It challenged the long-held assumption that Western defense systems were the only option for ambitious militaries. The real surprise wasn't just the purchase itself, but what it revealed about the rapidly shifting balance of global power. Analysts quickly recognized that this was more than a simple arms deal. It was a sign of changing allegiances and the emergence of new centers of influence. Indonesia's bold decision is set to send ripples across the Indo-Pacific, influencing military strategies and diplomatic relationships throughout the region. As the world watches, it's clear that a new world order is beginning to take shape, one where old assumptions are being challenged and new alliances are being forged. To truly understand Indonesia's bold move in modernizing its air force, we need to look back at the long and complicated history that shaped its current ambitions. The Indonesian Air Force's troubled past is a story of ambition, necessity, and constant adaptation. For decades, Indonesia operated a patchwork fleet: American F-16s, Russian Su-30s, British Hawks, and even older European and Chinese models. This mix was born out of shifting alliances and the need to keep planes flying no matter the source. Each aircraft type demanded its own unique spare parts, specialized training for pilots and ground crew, and separate supply chains. This created a logistical nightmare. When diplomatic relations soured, as they did with the United States in the 1990s, embargoes and sanctions meant that entire fleets could be grounded overnight, leaving Indonesia vulnerable. Turning to Russian jets brought new challenges: different technology, language barriers, and integration headaches that made operations even more complex. The cost of maintaining such a diverse fleet was enormous, straining the defense budget year after year. Spare parts were expensive and often hard to find. Training programs had to be duplicated for each aircraft type, requiring more instructors, more simulators, and more time, further draining resources. As a result, pilot proficiency suffered. With so many aircraft to master and limited flying hours, it was difficult to maintain high standards and readiness. In times of crisis, the Air Force struggled to deploy a cohesive, unified force. Coordination was difficult, and operational effectiveness was compromised. The dream was clear: to standardize around a single modern multi-role jet that could handle a variety of missions and simplify everything from maintenance to training. Streamlining the fleet would boost readiness, cut costs, and allow Indonesia to respond more quickly and effectively to any threat. The pain and frustration of past mishaps, grounded jets, and missed opportunities fueled the desire for a clean break, a new era for Indonesia's air power. Modernization was urgent. Indonesia's old F-5s and F-16s were outdated. Rising tensions in the South China Sea demanded credible air power. The goal: a multi-role fighter for air combat, strikes, and reconnaissance. It needed range to patrol the vast archipelago. Flexibility was key. One jet for many missions. Modern fighters like the Rafale, F-16 Viper, and J-10C fit the bill. A unified fleet would finally break the logistical trap. Indonesia sought a deterrent and a symbol of regional power. Indonesia's demands went far beyond the jet's performance. Technology transfer was non-negotiable. Jakarta wanted access to core systems, source codes, avionics, radar. The aim: maintain and upgrade jets domestically, reducing foreign reliance. Local production and job creation were essential. PT Dirgantara Indonesia had to be involved, boosting the national aerospace industry. The jet needed advanced AESA radar, modern weapons, and a digital cockpit. Integration with other military assets was a must. Performance mattered, but so did autonomy. No political strings. Indonesia remembered the pain of past embargoes. The supplier had to guarantee delivery, regardless of politics. Jakarta wanted a true partnership, not dependency. Strategic autonomy was the ultimate goal. China met every item on Indonesia's wishlist. The J-10C was a modern, capable fighter with advanced radar and missiles. China offered deep technology transfer, including assembly know-how and software codes. Local assembly at PT Dirgantara was part of the deal. Financial terms were attractive, affordable price, low-interest loans. China promised fast delivery, beating Western backlogs. Most importantly, there were no political conditions. Beijing treated Indonesia as a sovereign equal. The offer elevated Indonesia's industry and autonomy. China didn't just sell a jet, they sold a vision of partnership. For Jakarta, it was simply too good to refuse. For China, this was a strategic victory. Breaking into Indonesia's market shattered Western dominance. The deal showcased China's defense industry and diplomatic clout. It complicated U.S. strategy in the Indo-Pacific. Indonesia's reliance on Chinese tech gives Beijing leverage. The sale deepens economic and military ties. China's long-term strategy, using industry to build influence, paid off. It was a masterstroke of soft power and ambition. Indonesia's decision will reshape the Indo-Pacific. Neighbors like Australia and Singapore are alarmed. A Chinese jet in Southeast Asia's largest military could spark an arms race. U.S. influence is clearly challenged. The region's stability, long underpinned by American power, is unsettled. Other nations may now consider Chinese arms. If Indonesia succeeds, it's a powerful endorsement for China. The world is moving toward multipolarity. Regional powers are charting their own course. Indonesia's deal is a declaration of independence in a new era. The deal brings promise and risk. Indonesia still faces a mixed fleet for years, complicating logistics. Over-reliance on China could create new vulnerabilities. If relations sour, Beijing could use its leverage. The West's reaction is uncertain. Diplomatic ties may cool. Has Indonesia secured its future or traded one dependency for another? The world will watch as Indonesia navigates these challenges. The stakes have never been higher.